Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hometown Bar and Grill in Cambridge, Illinois, as we look to kick off the 2024 I8FA football season. I'm Dwayne Hewlett with TSSR Game Time Live. Thanks for joining us tonight. Going to be a whole lot of fun. You'll see I don't have any papers down here. I'm not a let's get a whole lot of stats kind of guy. We got a lot of people in-house we're going to talk to. We've got coaches from Galva, West Central, BPC, and Ridgewood in the house tonight. We'll introduce those folks to you a little later. We also have players from Ridgewood and Galva in the house tonight. Other things you're going to see is we were able to catch up with South Beloit early in the year. In fact, the second day of practice. We also caught up with Orangeville, Milledgeville, and Polo. We'll have great interviews for some players and coaches from those schools as well. It's going to be a great season. It actually kicks off tomorrow night as Unity Christian plays host to Metro East Lutheran. So that's how things kick off. If you saw our post the other day, I'm old school, and I forgot that we started on Thursday, so I apologize to those two teams. But we're actually toying with the idea of covering that game tomorrow night, so you might be able to watch that on TSSR Game Time Live. That'll be kind of a tomorrow morning decision on whether we do that game or not, but it looks like we probably will. We're going to see a lot of I8FA football on TSSR Game Time Live this year. You'll see every West Central game, every West Prairie Southeastern game, every BPC game, and every Milledgeville game. And we'll also try to pick up some games of the week as we go through the season. Amboy, last year's champion in a big way over Ridgewood. They are probably the favorites to do it again this year. We'll have players, we'll have coaches. We'll talk about that as the night goes along. So there's a whole lot of stuff we're going to be talking about. We can't forget the fact that the 8-man football is continuing to grow. We'll talk about that with the coaches, as there's a couple new teams this year. We'll also talk with the players about how they are enjoying 8-man football and what they've learned in the process of learning the game of 8-man football, which is still kind of new to a lot of places. You'll hear a lot of talk of schools that should maybe be 8-man, that just the stigma hasn't allowed them to get there yet. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about with West Central what it was like to win a championship 2 years ago and how the school and the communities of West Central and Biggsville and Stronghurst and Aquaka and Gladstone all came together, and Media and Smithshire as well, if you want to get technical. So big district over there, not a lot of kids, how that all came together and how they won a championship and how much that brought to the communities that support them. Ridgewood, of course, was in the championship game against Amboy last year. Hometown Bar and Grill, where we're located at tonight, was a sponsor in the championship game. Of course, you'll be able to watch the I8FA championship game again in 2024 here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH. So all kinds of stuff to talk about. We've got about probably an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half worth of stuff to talk about. So without further ado, we'll take our first break, and we'll be back with what we learned while we were at South Beloit. You're watching TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, and the I8FA preseason show live from Hometown Bar and Grill in Cambridge, Illinois. We'll be right back.
My experience with McDonough District Hospital was amazing. I have a lot of allergies, complicated by nasal problems. And the procedure I had is Vive Air. Dr. Sparks was incredible.
The Vive Air procedure is a radiofrequency ablation procedure. She no longer has to do any medications to breathe, so she gets much more restful night's sleep. And a short little office procedure, and have somebody that feels like it's totally changed their life means the world.
It's a permanent improvement on the quality of your life.
I'm Lori Fox. I'm a physical therapy assistant with McDonough District Hospital Sport Medicine and Rehabilitation. MDH Sport Medicine and Rehab is just not for the athlete. We see a variety of ages. We see a lot of orthopedic patients, from the foot and ankle injuries to shoulder injuries, the knee, the hip, SI joint dysfunction. We also deal with neuro, concussions, vestibular rehab. We offer a variety of programs at MDH, which include Renew Active, Silver Sneakers, Prime Fitness, Silver and Fit, Active and Fit, and also have a Phase 3 program. One of the most rewarding parts of my job is building a relationship with the patient and that interaction with them, getting them from having pain to no pain, to being able to walk and be functional again every day, get back to their normal activities and their prior level of function.
And welcome back to Hometown Bar and Grill. There's some youngsters and an old guy, so I'm like the rose between the thorns, I think, or something like that. Probably not really, but we're here with some Ridgewood players and a Galva player, so we're lucky to have a mix of some players here. Guys, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and tell everybody what positions you play. We'll start with you.
My name's Owen Anderson. I play quarterback, DN, and linebacker for Ridgewood.
My name is Roy Sandberg. I play for the Ridgewood Spartans. I play running back and linebacker.
My name is Brian Jeffrey, and I play cornerback and tight end for Galva.
My name is Sean Watt. I play defense, running back. Oh my God.
Hey, they got us real loud in the other room. Did you hear that? Well, I'll tell you what, as we can move through here, we said that we're not going to talk about individual teams a whole lot. Let's just talk about the positions you guys play and what you guys have learned by being at practices. We'll start with like the heat this week. How fun has practice been this week? Have you practiced? I know BPC practiced in the morning. Have you guys practiced in the morning? Have you still practiced in the heat? What's that been like?
So we're unable to practice in the morning usually just because of our co-op. So we have to get transportation to and from to make it to school on time. So to combat the weather, we've been inside our elementary school with air conditioning. Granted, it was still pretty hot, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I still think we're adapting to conditions well.
So is that gonna soften you guys up since you're practicing in air conditioning?
No.
They can't hear your head rattle.
Yeah.
No, you don't think it's going to soften you up?
No, I don't think so at all.
Well, so what does it hinder? What Galva do? Did you guys practice anyway? Did you practice inside? What did you guys do?
So Monday we did same as them, practiced inside, and then on Tuesday, so we just decided to practice 6 to 8 instead of our usual immediately after school. I was not there for that one. I was sick, but I heard from my friends that they said it was just as great as you would think it would be.
Getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, BPC. Now, Coach Schisler said that he had great practices. The kids were actually more excited to practice at 6 o'clock in the morning than he was. What would you have liked to be able to practice 6 o'clock in the morning?
I think at first no, but yes, the weather would have been 10 times better.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. So let's talk about the positions. You guys, obviously, 8-man. Everybody's watching this is going to be familiar with 8-man football, but the guards, we don't have any linemen here, so it's kind of hard to talk about the offensive line. But you being a tight end, instead of having 5 people, you're the second person if you're lined up in a tight end position. Does that, since there's 3 less defenders too, do you feel like you're able to get off the line and stuff pretty easily, or do you get caught up in traffic quite a bit as you're trying to leave in routes and stuff like that?
So a lot of time it can basically depend on the play that we're running, but usually along with the lower number of defenders, it keeps it pretty similar to 11-man, which since we recently switched, you can tell it goes pretty similar.
So running backs, obviously, you guys have a narrower field. When you run weak side or strong side or wide side, narrow side of the field, do you have to turn things up? I mean, that turn on a narrow side of the field is pretty close. The sideline, that 5 yards makes a difference, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that when you're out there, you really can't tell Linemen still make holes for me, and it just feels like 11 man. Feels like normal football.
So you guys made it to the state championship game last year. Obviously, didn't have the result that you wanted. You guys are coming to getting your feet wet with the 8-man stuff still in Galva. Are you able to learn stuff by watching these kids that have been doing it a few more years? Are you able to learn that stuff, learn some of the techniques and stuff just by playing the game against those teams that have done it a few more years?
Yeah, just by playing against them, watching their film, me and our coach, like, we went to see their championship game actually last year. And it was probably one of the best 8-man games I had ever gotten to watch up to that point. And I would say that our team was able to learn a lot from watching their film, just to be able to like learn more plays and how to react to them.
Well, I know that the championship game didn't go the way you guys wanted to. It's not very often that you get to end in this championship game and then open the next season against the same team. How excited are you guys to get another shot at Amboy?
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a focal point for the players. We've all been motivated to work even harder than we have last year, and hopefully start off with the right foot down.
What about, Galva's relatively new? You guys are relatively new also. You haven't been doing 8-man a very long time, but what do you say to kids, since you guys have all probably played 11-man, right? Either in junior high or elementary, high school, early in high school. So what do you say to these schools and the kids that are maybe on the line? I'm just going to throw some schools out there. Lewiston, North Fulton used to have it, and now they co-op with Lewiston. The Abingtons, the South Fultons, schools like that, even maybe Havana. The kids that maybe are like, oh, man, it's not the same football. What do you say to kids about that kind of stuff?
I think it's more like action-packed, so it still might be even better than 11-man football, in my opinion. Just more action-packed, high-scoring games. Got to make a tackle.
Yeah, there's a lot more open field stuff, even though the field's narrower, right? You are dependent even more, especially defensively, to cover your area, and your assignment, it becomes even more important, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. What is it about 8-man then that you like? Is it just that you can fly around the field? Is that what you like about it, or what is it about 8-man? What do you like about 8-man?
I like that. So on the defensive side, that it forces you to play as a team, because if you have 7 players and one just wants to do what he wants to do, the offense will use that against you, so that you have to play as a team to be successful.
What about offensively? What do you like about 8-man football offensively?
Scoring more touchdowns.
Well, that's pretty simple. What about you? What do you find either the hardest or the best thing about 8-man?
I find probably one of the best things about it is how many more just high intensity situations there are. Like, there's way more like one-on-ones for passing routes, which is just one of my favorite things to do as a cornerback and as a receiver overall.
What about you? What do you find?
Just being more involved on the defensive side, and you got to make a play. You let a guy go by you, be gone for a touchdown.
Now, it's funny because, you're a running back and you haven't said much about defense, but it seems like when I ask what the best thing is, a lot of it is talking about defense. You talk to coaches who came from 11-man to 8-man, and they say the hardest thing is defense. You can figure out the offense, but figuring out how to cover everybody defensively is the hardest part. But all you guys are saying that's the best part. So why does the hardest part of the game become the best part of the game?
In my opinion, it creates more hard-nosed football. It's more contact, and it's something new for the kids. Like, you're always used to seeing like 4-stack, and it's always something different. Like, there's a more variety of defenses you can run and still be successful.
What do you guys think?
I think he is pretty right to that point. It's like the total new experience of it. Just getting adjusted to that, and overall having to sometimes just adapt to new things even mid-game and not just during your off weeks.
Yeah, adaption is probably key, right? Not only are you guys have all adapted from 11 to 8, but then you have to adapt in the game, and being able to adapt is probably as big as anything, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, there's kind of polar opposites at this table right now. You guys have had success and you've got pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
Galva is just getting their feet wet, and you don't have a lot of kids on your team, right? At like 16 or 18, 15, something like
I
that.
think we got about 18 in the past week. We had some new kids join us.
Well, that's a plus. So what is it? I mean, you guys aren't that different in size. So what is it? I mean, winning helps that. But what would you say to kids at Galva that maybe I'm sure that there's some kids he's like, man, you should be playing football. What would you say to those kids at these schools that are struggling to get numbers? What would you say to them to get them to come out?
I would just say, just encourage them to always try something new, because you could fall in love with it. It's a brand new experience for everybody, coaches and players. So being able to adjust to 8-man maybe it's a lot more fun than 11-man, or you find something fun that you enjoy.
You only get 4 guaranteed years of football, and then you live the rest of your life. You might as well give it a shot.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Is you're in high school for a limited time. It's not like you can take 2 years off and come back 10 years later and play again, right? You got your time, you're there, and you get to play, and that is the time that you have to take advantage of that kind of stuff. Do you walk down the halls and see kids at Galva? They're like, man, why aren't you out playing football?
Yeah, we've got like a lot of kids like that I've seen don't even play like many sports at all. I've seen some that could probably just walk right straight through a person, and I've never seen them touch a football.
Speaking of that, that's one of the things that I think people are like, oh, it's not real football. You hit, and you guys hit hard. I mean, there's some open field tackles where you get to really hit somebody, and then you get to be in the open field and run over people too. I mean, it's the real deal. The pads hard and the pads hit, and it's a lot of fun, right?
I agree.
So do you play defense or do you just play offense?
Oh, I play defense.
So what's better, sacking a quarterback, or tackling somebody real hard, or lowering your shoulder and running over somebody?
Tackling someone in the open field.
What about you?
Oh, for me, sacking the quarterback. I had a couple big moments that I could feel the energy running through me.
So you've mentioned defense and playing quarterback or cornerback defensively. Is defense more fun, or do you like that? You know, I heard somebody use the term mossing somebody earlier. Do you like that kind of stuff better, or do you like to lay the smack down or be the smacky?
Try to lay the smack down for me. Being able to just anytime you really break up a pass, get an interception, your whole team just kind of goes wild after that, and that's probably one of my favorite things about football.
Smile's pretty big on that comment. Is that you on the same boat there?
Yeah, just going one-on-one with their best receiver out there and forcing a pass up or interception or even a pick six. It just gets the team up. Momentum's on your side, and you just get going.
So 2 more things before I let you guys go. What do you say to somebody who doesn't think 8-man's a real football?
They got to come out and watch it. After the first 2 minutes, it's like almost every 11-man game you've ever been to.
I have
Anything to add to that?
I have a friend that thinks 8-man's fake football, and I always give him crap for it. But 8-man it's just football. Like 6-man's football. I wouldn't consider rugby football, but it's a form of it.
I don't know. It takes a real man to play rugby. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mouth off to any rugby player.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. What about you?
I think don't knock it till you try it. It's like you can't really compare 8-man and 11-man and say one or the other's real football. They're both just a different type of football.
Got anything to add into that?
Just going off what Owen said earlier, it's after the first 2 minutes, it's just football. You're going out there to play hard.
So you guys obviously runners up last year. What are you going to be happy with this year?
Being able to host a home playoff and, I mean, give it your all. Maybe the score doesn't turn out in your favor, but as long as you left it on the field, that's all you can ask for.
I have to agree with Owen. As long as we're successful as a team and no matter what we grow as a team, then I'll be happy with that.
We'll go to you next.
Yeah, just with that, we just got to go out there, play up our hearts, and whatever happens.
Now, they're in a different boat. They were runners up. You guys are still getting your feet wet. You don't have nearly as many players. So What is your goal for your team and for you this year?
So our goal as a team, we discussed this very early on into the season. Our goal is to make it to the playoffs this year, basically. Just get there, get to that game. We give it our all and leave it on the field and see how far we can go.
And that's one of the things that you mentioned it. You mentioned you only get 4 years, right? You got your 4 years, and that's all you get. So as long as you guys are leaving it all on the field and you're playing as hard as you can, sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to. I mean, you guys lived that last year, right? But you still left it all on the field. But it makes you come back and want to try harder, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You guys probably had a pretty solid off season, I would imagine.
Yeah, we worked hard.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, guys, I greatly appreciate you coming and talking to us, and we'll see you. I know you guys have already tried to talk me into coming Friday night.
Oh yeah.
for the big rematch game. We will be at Galva. So you play West Central. Coach Kirby's here, so you guys play West Central Friday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be at Galva with that one. No offense, guys. That just I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. That's what I can tell you.
I'll come back to Galva week 2. We face
So
Ridgewood.
yeah,
that's right.
That's our senior night. Oh yeah.
Oh, senior night on the second night of the year.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
Nice. You gotta have nice weather for
As
senior
long
night.
as it's not 96 or
Hey,
20.
after
I'm
this
okay.
week, that's all you can hope for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It was the last couple of weeks. It was great. I don't know what the problem is. Mother Nature just doesn't like the first week of football season, apparently, huh? All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes, but when we come back after the break, we'll have our stop with Orangeville and the Broncos and see what they have cooking for the 2024 season. We'll be right back to Hometown Bar and Grill on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, right after this.
My name is Christina Chambers. I'm a nurse practitioner and I work at the Monmouth MDH Convenience Clinic. I went into nursing because I wanted to help people in a better capacity than what I was doing working as a receptionist. I wanted to be more hands-on with the patients and be able to make a direct impact in their quality of life. I really love being able to be hands-on every day and to see a change in the patients, to see them get better, and to know or feel like I made a difference at the end of the day. When I meet with patients, I try to help them understand the why behind a recommendation, why it is what we're doing, why prevention, what's the purpose of it. And that really makes the patient feel comfortable and as well get their cooperation in making their own life better too. I take pride in working in my hometown because I feel very proud to be able to make the people in my community feel better and to improve their quality of life. And in a small town like Monmouth, everybody's connected. You know, you might see a patient and that person knows somebody that you know, and just that feeling of being connected to the people and the community. The great thing about MDH Monmouth Clinic is the versatility that we have with the teamwork, because we work so closely with MDH Sports Medicine and Rehab, and to be able to close that circle and to meet those needs as well as their medical needs.
All right. Down. 218. 218. running, guys.
218.
All right.
218 to go. Small on that. Couple of mine.
Red foot on one. Red foot on one. Ready? Run up one. Down. 218. 218 to go. Good. Good. Whistle. Big settle up. Strong left. Down. 218. 218 to go. Stick it out in front of him.
My experience with McDonough District Hospital was amazing. I have a lot of allergies, complicated by nasal problems. And the procedure I had is Vive Air. Dr. Sparks was incredible.
The Vive Air procedure is a radiofrequency ablation procedure. She no longer has to do any medications to breathe, so she gets much more restful night's sleep. And a short little office procedure, and have somebody that feels like it's totally changed their life means the world.
It's a permanent improvement on the quality of your life.
And welcome back to Hometown Bar and Grill in Cambridge, Illinois. That is part of Ridgewood, but not part of Alwood. Does that make any sense? Something like that.
Does to
Somebody,
me. I get it.
You get
I
it.
get it.
Somebody was asking in the live chat where we were at, and they said Alwood, and technically no, we're in Cambridge, which is now part of Ridgewood, which is in with Alwood. I think that's right, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
You know, the thing I'm noticing is I feel a lot more claustrophobic right now.
There's a
Just
lot
a
less
love.
room on the
Just a
set
love.
right now.
There's,
than
yeah,
last
there's less room on the set than there was a few minutes ago. Happy to have some great coaches from the I8FA with me. Guys, I'll let you introduce yourself. Coach, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Jacob Schisler, head coach of BPC High School.
Jason Kirby, West Central High School in Biggsville.
Pat Elder at Cambridge High School of the Ridgewood Co-op.
And Mark Jeffrey from Galva High School.
So we've got some youthful coaches, some experienced coaches, kind of a good mix here. And everybody, I think, has coached 11-man, right? Did you coach?
I did
No,
not,
you
but
came
I
on
was.
right as Bushnell went
Yep,
8-man,
straight
didn't
into
they?
8-man, yep.
But you played 11-man.
I did, yes.
So everybody's got 11-man experience, and now all coaching 8-man. These guys coached 11 and 8, right? Coach, you coached 11 too, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
coached for Mid-County for
Yep.
a while.
Vermilion County?
And Mid-County.
Mid-County, gotcha. I was going to say, I thought you were talking about Edwards County for a second down, or
That's a long
Danville or
ways
something
away
like
from
that.
me.
Yeah, I know. That's a long ways. Let's get back to what we're here for. About 8-man. Let's forget about that. Anyway, so Coach Lawler said he was going to come tonight, but he was sick. So shout out to
Miss you, Coach.
him for he's still coaching though, of
The
course.
godfather of this whole deal.
Yeah, you know that's since he's not here, we can talk about him. I'm sure he's home watching. This deal, which has grown every year, pretty much wouldn't be here without him, really, would it?
You don't need to say really. It wouldn't be here without him. I mean, he put his feet in the ground and said, we're going to do this. And he worked his tail off to recruit some schools to do it, and him along with Milford and some other schools had the gall to go against tradition and start this thing up here in the state of Illinois. And we have been very fortunate, us as a group was very fortunate for the simple fact that they had the thought process to try and do something like that. Gave our kids an opportunity to continue to play football probably.
Yeah, and that's, Coach, you're going through the small – you just got some kids this week, so you're not as small of a team as you were when I talked to you last Tuesday.
Right. Yeah, just a week ago.
Yeah, just a week ago you didn't have enough to play against each other. Now you can at least kind of scrimmage at least a little bit. You got more than 16, so that's a plus, right? But you were talking about that 14 kids. There's no way you could play at 11-man with 14 kids.
Yeah, that makes it for a town like Galvin. Plus, we got out of co-op, and so that makes a difference too. So when you're trying to go it alone, and I think that everything kind of has its own pace and it goes kind of slowly. But I really could see 5 or 6 years from now there being 45, 58-man teams because there's a lot of small schools that are like, you know what, we still want to play, but we're having trouble. Like enrollment may be dropping, and getting kids to come out is a little bit tougher. But 8-man is that vehicle that can get you to, hey, we still have 9 games. We still have a playoff. We still have a championship. To me, we're kind of like the Cadillac of football.
Coach Elder, you've coached both. What was that transition like for you when you came from 11 to 8, and what do you enjoy about the 8-man game now?
Well, for our school, what I like about it is how much it allows us to get back to football. I mean, you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. You got enough bodies to do what you want to do. So you go to practice, you work on technique, scheme, those things. That part of it has been really good. And in our transition, that was the biggest thing I think I underestimated in going from 11 to 8 was how much going to 8-man football was going to allow us to coach football. That's been Jay and I, all of us know a lot of football coaches, but that's the question you get from people still in 11 all the time. But I go we got to get back to coaching football for the reasons that you want to coach it. 8-man allows us to do that, and that's been the biggest benefit for us. And what I really think our kids and I think we've gotten incredible support, as I think really all the schools sitting here have. But for our communities, they fully embraced it when they're like, oh, okay, we're back. Like, it's football. You got a little juice, and I mean, if you tackle well and you block well, things usually go pretty well for you.
Coach Schisler, you've been here since the start for BPC.
Yeah.
Your numbers were low when you started, but they seem to be growing a little bit, aren't they? I mean, is that partially because the kids can see themselves being competitive, you think, and being able to compete with these teams they're playing against?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 11-man, obviously, that's why we're in this situation now, is because 11-man didn't work out. You go to 8-man, and that transition period, I think a lot of kids, they don't really know what it's going to be about, so they wait a couple years, and I think a lot of the kids we've had going out now, they're kind of seeing we're trying to build, the atmosphere we have on the football field, and that's something they want to be a part of. So I think the more years we keep doing this, like I said, we can get more kids to go out, and like I said, from, or like you said, 3 years ago, like we've gained 10 to 12 kids from when we first started, so that's awesome.
Coach, you've been around football long enough. There's ebbs and flows of numbers, right? I think you feel like you're kind of back on the upswing after a little bit of a down year last year. You're kind of back up on an upswing. But the thing that's cool about your school and all these schools up here is a bunch of little towns. I was from Smithshire. That's where I went to school at Southern to start with, so I'm familiar with the area. Biggsville, Aquaka, Gladstone, Raritan, Stronghurst, Biggsville. Will Bavery back in the day. He was coaching Southern when I was at Southern. But my point is those schools, the community involvement has become such a thing, and you guys winning that state title a couple years ago just shows that what happens when you can win, and it doesn't matter what you're playing. If you can go to a state championship game, which I8FA offers, communities come together, don't they?
Oh, yeah, and if you drive around right now, our boosters have been awesome here the past couple weeks. Our towns are painted red, white, and blue. Those people are ready to go. Our parent group has been tremendous in the fact that, they want to continue to make sure that those things are getting done. So for another reason, so that when our kids are driving through, they see all that support, and they know that is there. And it's just, you don't only see it when you drive through town, but you see it on Friday night too. I mean, our people come out, and they travel a little bit as well. We'll have a great crowd that travels down to Galva on Friday night, or up to Galva rather. And when we play, it's going to be a few weeks, thanks to Elder, before I get to play at home. But when we get to play at home, we'll have a great crowd then too. Our people will come and they'll follow, and parents come watch practice, and people are excited about what we're doing.
I think the cool thing that I've noticed is, we cover quite a few 8-man games, and the number of alumni who were 11-man players that come back and just absolutely love watching the 8-man game is pretty exciting. You had to have seen that. I know you've seen it during the state championship run and your runner-up last year. You had to have seen a lot of that.
Yeah, we have so Cambridge back to when I'm from Alexis High School, so I would have played Cambridge when I was in high school. Cambridge has had a Saturday homecoming forever.
Yeah.
And so last year, and obviously we were playing well at that point, but some guys, Coach Stahl had a lot of great teams. The late 90s and early 2000s, Cambridge was very good. And the alumni off that team, they're just like, they go, man, it's so awesome. It's so awesome to see energy back at it. The bowl's a fun place to be. And they go, and man, it's a lot of fun. They're like, it's fun to watch. It gets, there's a lot of hitting and, and tackling. Like, it's football. It's a lot of fun. I said, yep. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of that. And like I said, our homecoming game last year, we had a ton of alumni, and the support was amazing. And they all just talked about what a fun game it is to watch.
It's fun to watch, and there's some heavy hitting still too, isn't there?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's real football. I mean, it's the same as 11-man. It's just an alternative. It's just a different form, different format, but it's still the same thing. We got guys. We got a couple guys right now that I could see in a year or two, going to play college ball. Even though we were an 11-man, 8-man team. So I think it's just as good. The product on the field is just as good, and maybe even more entertainment value.
You got a kid named Lane Huffman.
Yes.
Pretty athletic kid.
Yeah.
Coach Kirby's shaking his head. He probably remembers him. Guys, remember, this is a game that's kind of tailored for a kid like Lane Huffman, right?
Yeah, getting him his sophomore year, so he's been starting since he was a sophomore, getting him to realize, hey, the field's smaller. You can't break it to the outside every time because that outside comes a lot faster than it did in 11-man. So getting him to follow his blocks, use his eyes, keep his eyes up, make good cuts. He's really evolved as a player for sure. So I'll be excited to see what he does this year too.
That's something.
I won't.
Yeah, I'm going to go to his graduation. Make sure he's gone.
I'll have a card.
That's something that I think is interesting. Everybody talks about how the width of the field is so much less than the 11-man or the regulation field. I disagree. I think with 8 guys out there, proportionally, there's more area to defend. And when when you watch it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's quite a bit more narrow. And then you go out there and stand and you're like, holy smokes, there's a lot of area that it seems like every tackle has to be made by one guy. Where getting multiple guys to a tackle, figuring that out schematically with the defense is virtually impossible.
Well,
you got to make your open field tackles.
For sure.
You got to be able to tackle. Kind of like Coach Jeffrey said, it's right because you get asked about it a lot. And so, I don't know if I make sense or not, but I always talk about the fact like it is still a physical game where there's still a physicality to it, to the tackling part, but because there's less bodies, it's a physical game with less physical. You don't have that silly pile. You don't. Don't get me wrong. Somebody can get rolled up on anytime it's football. But it's like you said, it's still a physical game without what I would deem to be that silly physicality. There's just not that. There's not 5 hats at the ball. There's not some guy diving in late usually because it's just too fast. It's over.
You can't hide, right?
Right.
You can't hide out there.
I got a great story when I started coaching 3 years ago at Galva, and our first game was against Pat, and I just remember our kids were so excited because a lot of them they didn't play junior high, and so this was kind of like their first real football time, and they were like, "Oh man, this is great!" And they had heard a lot about 8-man. They were like, "Yeah." They had this concept in their mind that 8-man was easier. And after about 2 drives, they all looked at me like, "Coach, this is hard." And I was like, "Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just hold on."
It's funny to hear you guys talk about defense and how it's harder. Every one of the kids up here a few minutes ago like defense better. They all said, we like to be able to hit somebody. We want to be able to do that kind of stuff. And then you talk to the coaches, and all the coaches like, defense is the hardest.
It's miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah, it's
when your defense goes out there, I just get an upset stomach. Even our really, really good teams that we've had the past few years, our defense went out there, and it's just miserable because you see the angles and the spacing, and you're just, we can't stop this.
I think they like the defense part because it's simpler than 11-man. Schematically, it's not easier, but it's simpler than 11-man. So I think they like that. They're like, hey, see ball, get ball.
Yeah. It's the cat defense. I got that cat. You got that cat.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
So now your first year, it was your first year you were a co-coach?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Me and Coach Schwartz. Yep.
Yeah, you and Coach Schwartz. So you were defense and he was offense, or was that backwards? No,
I was offense. He was defense. Yep.
So you didn't even care then.
He's still defense. He's still calling the defense. So I'm like, you've been running your stuff. We've kind of evolved over the past few years and stuff like that. But that was a situation where Rodis left and no one took the head coaching job. And then I remember we got pulled in the office one day. Hey, you two are you guys are gonna coach. I don't care how you want to split it up. And we're just kind of like wide-eyed. Like I think it was the end of my first year and the end of his second year. So we're like brand new to this. Me especially, 8-man. And I was like, all right, well let's try to figure this out. Let's go. So
you guys ever been a part of a co-head coaching situation? What would that be like for a guy that's somebody comes to you and says, your co-head coach.
I want to do it with Elder.
You all,
can you
I
imagine
don't.
those
I
days?
don't.
Can we film that? Can that be like a show?
Yeah. Hey, Coach Lawler could probably do it. Get him to be the
He'd
assist.
have to
Your
be the
coach.
moderator.
There's some expression about cooks in the kitchen somewhere.
Yeah, I would imagine that's got to be tough. Well, when we come back, we're going to go to. We visited Milledgeville earlier, so we're going to play something for Milledgeville. But when we come back, we'll look at the season. We've talked a lot about the game and stuff like that. We'll look at the season when we come back and what you guys anticipate from other teams a little bit, which is going to be really hard, obviously, before the season even starts. But so we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have Milledgeville's little visit that we did up there, third day of practice. It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? And we'll be back here to Hometown Bar and Grill with the 4 coaches in just about 10 or 15 minutes.
My name is Christina Chambers. I'm a nurse practitioner and I work at the Monmouth MDH Convenience Clinic. I went into nursing because I wanted to help people in a better capacity than what I was doing working as a receptionist. I wanted to be more hands-on with the patients and be able to make a direct impact in their quality of life. I really love being able to be hands-on every day and to see a change in the patients, to see them get better, and to know or feel like I made a difference at the end of the day. When I meet with patients, I try to help them understand the why behind a recommendation, why it is what we're doing, why prevention, what's the purpose of it. And that really makes the patient feel comfortable and as well get their cooperation in making their own life better too. I take pride in working in my hometown because I feel very proud to be able to make the people in my community feel better and to improve their quality of life. And in a small town like Monmouth, everybody's connected. You know, you might see a patient and that person knows somebody that you know, and just that feeling of being connected to the people and the community. The great thing about MDH Monmouth Clinic is the versatility that we have with the teamwork, because we work so closely with MDH Sports Medicine and Rehab, and to be able to close that circle and to meet those needs as well as their medical needs.
Way to work. JB, sprint. sprint up, and it's easy to go down.
My name is Christina Chambers. I'm a nurse practitioner and I work at the Monmouth MDH Convenience Clinic. I went into nursing because I wanted to help people in a better capacity than what I was doing working as a receptionist. I wanted to be more hands-on with the patients and be able to make a direct impact in their quality of life. I really love being able to be hands-on every day and to see a change in the patients, to see them get better, and to know or feel like I made a difference at the end of the day. When I meet with patients, I try to help them understand the why behind a recommendation, why it is what we're doing, why prevention, what's the purpose of it. And that really makes the patient feel comfortable and as well get their cooperation in making their own life better too. I take pride in working in my hometown because I feel very proud to be able to make the people in my community feel better and to improve their quality of life. And in a small town like Monmouth, everybody's connected. You know, you might see a patient and that person knows somebody that you know, and just that feeling of being connected to the people and the community. The great thing about MDH Monmouth Clinic is the versatility that we have with the teamwork, because we work so closely with MDH Sports Medicine and Rehab, and to be able to close that circle and to meet those needs as well as their medical needs.
And welcome back to Hometown Bar and Grill in Cambridge, Illinois. I want to say hi to Mrs. Elder.
She's out there.
Watching at
She's
home.
out there.
During the break or during our break, you're getting some important text messages.
Yep, I was getting coached up. She's the real head coach around our place.
That does that surprise you at all?
No, I witnessed that. He knows when to keep his mouth shut.
Man.
Well, at least he knows his role. It's like, what's that? Knows who wears the pants in the family? Yeah, we got one new dad.
Mrs. Elder is in charge.
Yes. Yeah, we got a new dad here. It's talked about early practices and and having kids at home.
Yep.
So while we were gone, we all discussed the fact that Coach Schisler has 2 young kids and he has to get up at 4 o'clock for practice. Coach Kirby says, "Well, do you run when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning?" And do you seriously get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run?
Yeah, every day. I don't look like it, but I do.
Are we supposed to argue?
I said if I'm running, everybody else better run because something is chasing me.
They told me that in Canada. If you're running in Canada, it's because something's chasing you. Those things aren't playing.
You're a bike rider.
I am.
So
I am.
You wrecked your bike, though, I heard.
I did. Had a waggly wheel. We got her fixed, so we're going to get back on.
It was probably like a circus bike.
I wish there was video of that.
I wish there was. Whether the wreck or him riding a bike.
The wreck. No, I want the wreck.
They're not. No, they're not.
So
get a GoPro put on his bike from now on so I can have that video.
We need to get him into a bright pink bike helmet with a GoPro.
Oh,
on.
no, stop.
Well, we could see him that way. So when he wrecked, we could see it too.
Okay. All right.
I wear a bright pink shirt all the time. That's what everybody tells me is that they can't miss me because I'm just stick out like a sore thumb. That's what I meant. You make me feel like I was trying to be mean or something.
I just don't want to think about Elder in a biking suit.
I said a helmet, not a biking suit. You don't.
You go helmet. You go
no,
you got to match.
No.
Okay.
Greg Lamond, he is not.
He's a mountain biker anyway, right? Not a racing.
I always wear something bright so they can find me in the weeds.
So what about you? What do you? I mean,
I've got a golden doodle that wants to walk all morning. So yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
about 4:30, 5 o'clock walking her every day. So yeah, she likes to walk for miles and miles and miles.
So we got a dad, a runner, a bicyclist, and a dog walker. That's
Sounds like the beginning of a bad joke.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about football.
All right.
I think every year seems to be getting with this 8-man deal and I8FA. This gets better and better. I think every year. I think people think Amboy is going to be the team to beat again. But having said that, I think it's been proven in years past, right, that you don't ever know, even in 8-man football, until the game's played, right?
Every Friday night, man. They turn the lights on for a reason.
So We'll start with you.
All right.
Coach Lawler said we needed to pick our top 10.
Oh.
That's what he told me. I had to ask you guys your top 10 teams. But he didn't want me to warn you. He just said on the spot, top 10 teams.
In order or just 10?
Whichever way you want to do it.
Let's just say 10. In order would be miserable.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be
Top
too
10
tough.
teams.
I'd go. I mean, you got to Amboy's gonna be strong. Polo's gonna be strong. Milledgeville's got the, I think, is it Tom Smith? Is that how you say?
Yeah.
They got the good run back and some other pieces back, but he's a nice running back. And then I think our division is tough. It's tough. I mean, you already mentioned the Amboy. Jason won it 2 years ago. We had a nice club a year ago. We got a few pieces back. Coach Schisler's got the Huffman kid back. West Prairie's JV team went undefeated. South Fork has got some great skill coming back. I haven't got to Milford yet. Milford's going to be strong, and Pawnee's got all those kids back. So those are the ones that right away just come to mind for me that I think our teams are going to be really, really strong. And I didn't get to, and those two know because I've told them, we were talking about it over there. I named 10, and one of them's got to be bumped out because Flanagan's not in there. And Flanagan's got a group of kids that, they struggled 2 years ago, but they were all playing. They were playing a bunch of sophomores. Last year they went, 6-4 or 7-4, and they got a bunch back. And so Flanagan's going to have a good team too. And so we're going to find out what kind of team we got because we got Amboy twice and I got Flanagan twice. So and then anyway, I got coach, and we got West Prairie on there. Well, we'll find out if we're able to get to week 10, we earned it. I know that.
Anybody different that you see in that mix?
I know that AFC is going to be greatly improved. I know Dave Smith's going to do an incredible job there. That guy's a great football coach. Eld's brought up Milford. I think that Schwartzy's going to have a really, really good football team over at Milford. Like he said, Polo, Ted's going to have a good football team. It's Polo and it's Ted Alston. Milledgeville has been really, really good of late. That's just going to – we talk about stacking days. They're stacking years at Milledgeville. I don't think that's going to stop. Amboy is going to be a load. Yeah. So
I think we brought up Pawnee. I think Pawnee's really the only one that I can think of to add. But like Pat was saying, our division, it's pretty stacked with all of us in there. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out for sure. But other than that, there's a lot of great teams, and you never really know. We can sit here and say all these names, but you don't know until Friday night comes around. So we're going to find out pretty quick for sure.
I'm always more concerned with like that middle 10. Those are the ones that concern me, the disruptors, and that's kind of what we're trying to be this year. We're trying to be a disruptor. The guys at the top, they're at the top for a reason, man. They're good and they're hard to take down. But I just saw so many games last year, so many teams that won 4 games or 5, or some even that won like 3. Like, man, they could really, really ruin somebody's not your chance of making the playoffs, but like your seed. They could really ruin your seed. So those are the ones I'm concerned about.
One you left out in our division again, because he's got 4 or 5 kids back on each side of the ball. His Heights,
Yeah, they're a disruptor. I think.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it. You talk about a team that they're any night they show up and put it all together, they're a problem. You got the quarterback back, got the running back back. I think they got 1 or 2 guys up front, but like I said, that's the disappointing thing about what happened with our division losing the 2 teams and having to double up is.
Yeah, you guys are going to beat the crap out of each other.
Right.
I mean, you really are.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a really good team from our division not make the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is part of it. But I think you're going to have a really good team from our division not make the playoffs.
Now, we talked about the teams that are perennials. You got some teams with new coaches or coaches who've come back, some young kids, Alden Hebron. I think Coach Lawler's, they're on the upswing. And I think there's no doubt about that. You talk to anybody up north, and it might not be this year, but that young group that he has is going to be good. And that's then you got the new coach at South Beloit. We talked to him. We talked to them earlier, and one of the things they talked about is the coaching style difference, and I'll ask you guys this because we got some younger coaches and guys that have been around for a while. The kids are kind of excited at South Beloit because of it's kind of a more free range kind of deal. They get to have a little more fun. Maybe you don't have to think quite as much. You can react more. That's the kind of play they're going to do. You might see you're going to see more throwing from South Beloit this year. Not as much option. It's going to be straight runs or whatever. But the thing that kept popping up was the fun. We have more fun at practice. It's not as serious. We don't have to think as much. Do you think that's an 8-man thing or just a coaching principles thing?
I think it's coaching. Yeah. I think that's personality and who's in the head chair there. I don't think that has any difference between the division of 8-man and the division of 11-man. It's just who's in charge.
I think that having fun is a key, but I think that, I don't know, you guys deal with the kids more than I do, but I feel like that today making kids be able to have fun and be more reactive is probably good for young kids today, as far as maybe not in the whole scheme of football, but it gets them more acclimated to the sport faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, would you guys agree with that? I mean, you deal with these kids on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think these kids, they start talking, obviously, when they're in the classroom and stuff like that, not on the football field, and they talk about how fun the sport is when they're playing it and stuff like that. Then, their friends hear it. Maybe a kid that's never played football before, they come out and they get to experience how much fun, football actually is, or the sport actually is, no matter what it is. So I think it is definitely evolving, and like we talked about, too, it's a coaching style for sure.
Yeah, I think as you look at our world in general and our society, how many more entrepreneurs we have and the different businesses and the startups that are happening. Yeah, I think it's like the perfect time for 8-man. It all coincides with having students who are a little more non-traditional, especially after COVID. After COVID, it's a lot more non-traditional. But, I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing more fun than winning. And so if you're a wing T team or if you're a double wing team or if you're winning, it's fun. And so one thing that I heard Coach Elder say at a clinic is that, hey, kids can do 5 or 6 plays and be good with that. Like they're not 5 years old. Like they don't have to be entertained every second of the day. But it just depends on, like I know for us, we just have to go with personnel. There's just certain things that we're not going to be able to do with our personnel, and so we have to kind of change it up with that. But I think, honestly, everybody's goal, like my goal is to get where they are. My goal is to get to the point where I can have an offense that we can trust our guys to go do it, and I can actually do less. I don't have to do as much because we're so good at executing it. But, yeah, I think just in general, everybody's going to be a little bit different, and that is something I think you see in 8-man is a little different than 11-man. It's a lot more variety and a lot more styles.
I always find, or I've found, I guess, if something has changed about our approach, it's that we try to put them in a situation that they're confident in. I mean that's the big thing. So if it means we actually had significantly less offense in last year than we had in our first year at 8-man, which you think it'd be backwards there, but it was as we tried to dabble in some other things, we lost what we were doing well, and the new ad wasn't going well, and then we lost confidence. And so I just, Coach talked about, that's something I've talked about for years with people. I think it's whatever. You teach the spread, and you can teach it in a fun manner, and it works. You teach the wing tee, teach it in a fun manner, but you need to put them. We worry so much about boring them, and they're not bored, but they want to be confident in what they're doing. And then once they see they can have a little success with it, it becomes fun at that point in time. But I think as somebody that loves high school football and you're trying to get kids involved in it, I think that's the right. We hear the anxiety. You hear about anxiety. You hear about this. You hear about that. Then put them in a position they want to be confident in, or they're confident in, and they'll usually perform pretty well for you.
Okay, so do you coach players or do you coach the game? I mean, you see what I'm saying there? I mean, yeah, it seems to me when I watch football, the best coaches coach the players. They aren't stuck on wing tee or they aren't stuck on spread. They take their players and they coach their players to be the best that they can be instead of a system and make the players conform to it. But what is your guys' take on that?
Oh yeah, anybody that's watched us the past 3 years, I think we've run different offensive schemes the past 3 years, and that's just seeing who I have personnel wise and then adapting to that. So it's like if I have a scheme that's not going to work with the personnel that I have, I'm going to switch it up so it works and we can run it efficiently. So definitely coaching the players in that aspect, but adapting each and every year that I'm in 8-man. So.
Coach, what do you think? You did 11 and 8 and everything else. I mean, you have to have a system you like probably, but
For me, it has and it always will be about developing relationships. And then when you develop relationships, kids believe in what you're doing because they trust you. And if you can develop trust in your kids, they're going to believe in your system. Our system has morphed into a few different things. I think that one of the tenets that we've always had is we've run the option. And that's never going to change just because of who I am and what my belief system is. But for sure, we've tailored whatever we've done offensively and defensively based on the kids that we have and what we have coming up as well.
My dad's the best football coach I've ever known. He was a long-time coach at a school of 130 kids for 30 years. And his line all the time, and he told me that when I started, he says, you coach kids, you don't coach football. He says, you coach kids. He says, when you got talent, you can do whatever you want. He says, whether it be intellectual talent or physical talent. He says if you got both, you got a real good problem. He says, but the more talent you have, the more things you can do. He says when you have less talent, coach the kids, put them in a position to be confident, and do what you can do. And Curb's an option guy. I'm a wing T guy, but I've always felt there are some people that think the wing T is a dirty word, and other people love it. But the thing I've loved about it is I feel it allows enough options to adjust to what you have. We're going to be in the same formation. We'll look different this year because, we're confident knowing the job he's going to do at quarterback, but he's a different player than Riley Couture was, who'd been a two-year starter and was a nice playmaker for us at quarterback. And, we were able to get Preston Moriarty, who is out at Wartburg. You talk about guys going to play. Preston's out at Wartburg and off to a good start there, but you threw the ball up and Preston came down with it. That was just great coaching. What do you do here? The funnest thing about 8-man to me, I don't know for you guys, is defense is hard because on offense, it's easy to put people in conflict. You can get a one-on-one matchup, and with a kid like Pretz, he was always one-on-one, and 9 times out of 10 he came down with the ball if we could get time to get it off. So I think it's about being confident, but you definitely coach the kids, not the game, and then build off that.
Yeah, I think you have to just really understand the kids nowadays, and that's we're talking about differences in 8-man and 11-man. I tell you what, I coach hard now. Like there was times when 11-man when the week would go by and I didn't even really notice we had a guy. I mean, it was so simple. Not anymore. I mean, every night I'm up late, I'm up early. Every day at school I'm looking for just a little bit of time when I can. I mean, it's so mind-numbing trying to come up with different schemes and different things to do, and how would I attack this and what am I? I mean, so that makes it really fun. So I wish I had the opportunity to just coach the game, but that's not happening anymore. You have to coach the game and you have to coach the players. We just don't have that luxury in 8-man.
You mentioned having great players. You had a great player a couple years ago, and I think back to the, you get them in one-on-one situations, but you got a game-winning touchdown in a semifinal, and that great player you had sidestep between 3 or 4 players who had gotten in the right position, right? At some point, you guys coach players, I would imagine, and some will pop in your head when I ask this. There's certain players that just make things happen, and they make you look good, probably,
that's
right?
How I was going to finish your statement. Those guys, they make you call a play, and close your eyes and walk away. They're going to make it happen. It doesn't matter. They have a special thing, a special gear, a special drive. But that's that's true in every level of football. The special players are special.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of football it is, right?
No,
doesn't matter.
No.
You mentioned Mariotti's playing college ball. There's
Moriarty
is playing college ball. That's been at the I8FA meeting last week. That was one of the things. You can't play college ball if you play 8-man. I think that stigma, along with some other stigmas, seem to be leaving a little bit the farther this thing goes along.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. We just haven't encountered any of that negativity. I mean, we haven't. When we made the initial transition, Cambridge got strong tradition. There were some people not sure about it. Once they saw a game, we have not encountered any of those things. People have been positive. They've been positive about it. We've had traffic from college coaches that come through and express interest. It's just I don't even. Not to be smug, but I don't even entertain those conversations. I'm not. Our people like it, and people come find their guys. We're good to go.
I don't think there's any doubt our people love it. You've been there on Friday nights. Our people, this is who they are, and this is what they want to do. They want to be at a football game, and Friday nights is a football game.
It's nice when that football game can be a game you can compete in, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
for sure.
I think that's probably what's given our kids confidence.
Well, guys, we've been here quite a while, and we've made you wait through a pretty long interview there. I appreciate you guys being here. Before I let you go, we'll start left to right here. Expectations for your team on the season?
Expectations for us is this year we want to earn a playoff spot. We don't want to be given a playoff spot. Last year we went 4-5, and we're kind of given that playoff spot. We want to earn it this year. So that's my expectations. That's the players' expectations, is to work hard and earn that.
Be better week 9 than we are week 1. Just improve every week. Have a great experience for our kids. If we do those things, results will take care of themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, we try to be consistent in how we operate and hope that building on that will help us improve. We lost a lot of guys up front. We feel like we got some bodies that can help there, but as I stated earlier, we're gonna play some people. So if we get to week 10, we know we've earned it, and we'll be ready to go there.
Yeah, our theme for this year is chasing our legacy. 30 years ago, 94, Galvin had a really good football team. The Gale triplets were there, and we were thinking about it like, wow, that seemed like just yesterday, but that was 30 years ago. And so we tell our guys like, hey, you guys got to go out there and be legendary. Like, we don't want to just hang off of that. So that's kind of our motto going forward. And one of our guys, he recently got a tattoo that says "Prove them wrong," and it's like, that's it. That's our expectation. Prove them wrong, man. Like, I don't care what happened last year or 2 years ago. Like, this is a whole new year, whole new you. We got some older guys out there, so just go prove them wrong.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being here. We'll see all of you quite a bit. Actually, I got one more question. We mentioned this a little bit off air, kind of in talking, and the NUIC part of this 8-man deal gets a lot. That's where it started, right? So that gets a lot. And we've kind of already mentioned about how tough this is going to be. But do you think that is kind of disappearing, and the 8-man thing as a whole is becoming more equal than maybe it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago?
I just think the number of teams that are entering is allowing it to become a statewide thing. And there's definitely a great media coverage from up in that area, and the people are very passionate because there's so many schools up in that area that have a great tradition that are involved in football, and that particular conference has had that as well. So I think that the excitement is growing throughout the state, which is then making that, I suppose, dissipate. But at the same time, those people do an awesome job up there.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about. I think Pawnee's gonna be really good.
Yep.
I think Kincaid, South Fork, who's been good the last 2 years, really strong again. Milford, Clint's done a good job. I mean, I think you'll. Yes, I think those things you're gonna see it even out a little bit more, and there'll be some quality football all the way throughout.
Take Amboy, West Central, the last 2 champions. Take Ridgewood out of the mix, and take Polo out of the mix. Who can be the state champion?
It's anybody. It can be anybody. We're gonna be finding out real soon. That's for sure.
I mean, I think it's pretty even. I mean, even with those 4 in there, but you take those 4 out, and it's still pretty darn competitive, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I can see a 2-loss team winning the state championship this year. Like, it's going to be, every game's going to matter. Like, it's going to be tough.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll take our next to last break. We'll come back with information and our visit with Polo. And then we'll come back and close things out live from the Hometown Bar and Grill in Cambridge right after this.
MDH Sport Medicine and Rehab is just not for the athlete. We see a variety of ages, getting them from having pain to no pain to get back to their normal activities and their prior level of function.
I put you right in the hole. Hey, what I want you did everything right. Atta boy! Quarterback! Nice job! Way to get out there. Good work. Nice. Attaboy, Ziggy. Nice job, Ziggy. That's all we need right there. Good read, running back. Good job. That's what we just worked on, right? Hot. Good job, Q.
My experience with McDonough District Hospital was amazing. I have a lot of allergies, complicated by nasal problems. And the procedure I had is Vive Air. Dr. Sparks was incredible.
The Vive Air procedure is a radiofrequency ablation procedure. She no longer has to do any medications to breathe, so she gets much more restful night's sleep. And a short little office procedure, and have somebody that feels like it's totally changed their life means the world.
It's a permanent improvement on the quality of your life.
And welcome back for the final time. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. For Aaron Christian, who is my producer, videographer, audio, sound, and everything guy tonight, I thank him very much for doing that. For all the coaches that were here, all the players that were here, all the coaches and players we talked to a couple weeks ago, we greatly appreciate all of the support. We hope that you enjoyed the show. I know it lasted a little long. We'll work on that for next year, do a couple more things. But be prepared for a playoff pairing show at the end of the year, and make sure you like the I8FA Facebook page. It's the I8FA-Illinois 8-Man Football Association. It's the official Facebook page of the I8FA. You'll be able to watch schedules, results, and some highlights from Huddle as we get a chance to take a look at the best plays of the week as well. So for everybody at the Hometown Bar and Grill, I'm Dwayne Hewlett for TSSR Game Time Live presented by MDH. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at a football field this weekend.
Since 1958, McDonough District Hospital has proudly served the residents of West Central Illinois.